So we have already learned about simple interest. Let's review that so we can build on that to learn about a new way of figuring interest. We're going to start on page 95 of our text. And on that page, you'll see an example that includes a table that looks really similar to the one I've got on the screen, except you'll notice that I've added a column. Interest earned that year is not on your table. But I've put it on there just to point out that when we use this is the example that we've used before in section 2.3. When we use this same principle, 600, the same interest rate, 5%, every year we're still making $30. Year 1 we make $30, year 4 we make $30, because every year we earn interest off of the principal. It doesn't matter that our account after year 3 has $690 in it instead of $600, we're still only earning interest off the principal. When we have compounded interest, which is the new thing that we want to learn today, that's when we make interest off of not just the principal, but the interest that has been added to that account as well. So we're making interest off of the new total. So the first year, it's still the same. $600 was put in the account. We make 5%, that's $30, and we end up with $630. This is where it's different. Year 2, instead of making just 5% off of $600, the original principal, we're making 5% off of this new total, $630. If you'll flip the page to page 96, questions 1 and 2 want us to work on coming up with these numbers. So in number 91, we're just doing the arithmetic. 5% of our new account total is $31.50. So that is how much interest is earned the second year. Then we add it to the previous total, and our new ending value is $661.50. Number 2 wants us to connect with this simple interest formula that we've used in the past. Now, I want to clarify that we're using this formula to figure out the interest from just year 2. So normally, when we're using this formula, we would put in the original principal, and we put in how many years have elapsed. And if we had done that, we would get the numbers in this column, the total interest earned. But to just look at only year 2, entering year 2, the current amount in the account was $630 for just year 2. So if we start the story over and have just a little mini story about year 2 started off with $630. And since we are only looking at year 2, just that one year 2, we're letting our time be 1. So we multiply all those things through, and we get our 350. So let's go ahead and fill in the rest of our chart. So we've got the interest that's earned year 2. And so the value of that account is going to be equal to, now I'm using Excel like a calculator. I press the equal button, and in order to get that amount, I'm going to take the previous value of the account, 630, so I'm just going to click on that cell. It's going to use that number, plus the interest we earned that year. So it's these two highlighted squares it's adding together. Previous amount and the interest that I earned that year. And that's how much my account is worth. The next year equals, we take our previous total in our account, so I click on that square, times the 5% interest. and that's how much interest we make that year. So that means that our account value is our old total plus the interest we made that year. One more time. The interest that I'm making year 4 equals my previous total times 5%. Whoops, that would be 50. There we go, 5%. So my account is now worth the previous amount plus the interest. And if we want to fill in this column, the total interest earned doesn't include the principal, it's just money that we've earned. So it's the previous amount of interest plus the new amount of interest equals previous amount of interest plus the new amount of interest. So then when we turn the page to page 97, we're working through the numbers behind, the pattern behind what's happening here to build a formula. So after 1 year, we've got our principal, 600, and we have 100% of that. Remember, 100%, when I move the decimal over 2, it's 1. And then here's my interest rate, 5%, move it over, it's 0.05. So my new value is 100% of the principal plus an additional 5%. All of that times what the principal is. So then after year 2, we take the value of year 1 and we do the same thing again. The value of year 1, remember, was this. And then when we do a little bit of algebra, rewriting it, it looks like that, nice and pretty. So after year 3, we take our new balance and do the same thing, 100% plus an additional 5%. This was the value after 2 years. So we carry on doing that. Every year, we're multiplying it by another 100% plus an additional 5%. And you can kind of see this beautiful looking pattern of what happens. We can see every year our exponent is going up 1, which leads us to our compounded interest formula. You'll notice that A and P and R and T still have the same meaning. They're just in different places. In fact, down here I've got, this is the compounded interest, the new one we're learning, and this was the simple interest. So we see a little bit of difference. Instead of the T being in the parenthesis with the R, it's now an exponent. So this right here, this is our new formula.